Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Agud Chodesh, Agud Chodesh. Zog the Gemara, Tonu Rabbanon. No. Yeah. Omar Rabbi Ravuna. Omar Rabbi Ravuna, 7 lines from the bottom. Chayiv Adam lemashmish b'tfilin b'chol sha'ah. Every few minutes, you should move your tefillin around. Kavachoymer mitzitz. The Kohen Gadol. Move or touch? Mashmish move, a little move, because it seems like that when you move it, adjust, a little adjustment. If you just touch like this, you're trying to redo the hanacha sort of. It could be just touch. The point is not to have hesach hadas. You know that you're wearing tefillin, and there's a kavachomer from the tzitz. Here the Kohen Gadol has the tzitz. Umatzitz shein boy el askarach is only mentions Hashem's name once. It should be on your forehead always. And we learn you have to constantly think about the tzitz. Tefillin sheyesh ba and askaris harbe. How many times is Hashem's name mentioned in tefillin? 21 times. So it's 21 times more chashuv l'chayra than the tzitzis. Alachas kama v'kama. So certainly you should move your tefillin around once in a while. And that's why I said yesterday, if you go like this, it's even though it's not for the lining up of the nose and but just to move it. Now they ask, what's the connection? The tzitz, Hashem's name is on the outside. Only a Kohen Gadol can wear it in the Beis Hamikdash. How can you compare? The kedusha from the tzitz seems to be a lot stronger than the kedusha of tefillin. Nevertheless, there is some sort of kal v'chomer. Torah Rabbanan. In other words, it's not a serious bomb kal v'chomer, but it's enough to focus on this. Torah Rabbanan. Yadcha. Now we're going to talk about why we wear tefillin on our left hand and not on the right. Everything we do is on the right. Torah Rabbanan, Yadcha Zoismal. Ukshartam Lois Al Yadcha, Al Yodecha. I don't know which one it is. Yadcha is small. It's the left hand. Atoimer small. Oyenoi. Let's see the pasuk a second. We say it every day, but which pasuk? I think it's Yodecha. Yeah. It's a mistake in my Gemara. Yodecha Zoi small. We're referring to the left hand. Atoimer small. How do we know it's left? Oyenoi Yemin. So let me just show you real quickly. Just do a quick Avyadi Yazda Eretz Vimini Tibcha Shomayim. There's 3. We're going to see 3 sheets over here. Tanakama says Yad. The word Yad means left. Anytime the Torah says Yad, I'll prove it to you. Rabbi Nosson says, no, I have a hekesh. Ukshartam, uksaftam. The kshira, tying your tefillin has to be like the mezuzah. Mezuzah is with your right hand, so too tefillin. You do with your right. You tie with your right, meaning you have to put it on your left. And Rabbi Yosef Acharim says that it says Yadcha, Yad Keya, the weak hand. So those are the 3 shitas. Let's see inside. It says, he brings 3 psukim here. HaKadosh Baruch says, Af Yadi Yaz the Eretz, my hand created the earth, V'yimini Tibcha Shamayim, and my right hand, at the same time, I created the heaven. So what does Yadi mean? If HaKadosh Baruch created the Shamayim with his right, that means Yadi, the one left over, the other hand is his left hand. So Yadi means left. And I'll prove it to you again. It says V'omer. Yael, when she killed Sisera, it says V'omer Yada le'yaset tishlachna. She took, how do you say yaset in English? The peg. She took the peg with her left hand. She knocked it into his head while he was asleep and drunk with the hammer. So you can't hold the peg with the same hand as the hammer. The hammer goes in the right. It says v'yimino lahalmus hamelim. That means the peg was in the other hand, the left hand. So when it says yada, a yad by itself means left. V'yimino and the right, that's something else. But yad means left. V'omer, another pshat, another raya. Lama sashiv yadcha. So again, we have the yad and we have yamin. So yad means the left. Says the Gemara, Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Rabbi Yossi Acharim Oimer, so Rashi on the spot says, what does Charim mean? Charim means, and Taisus brings him also, it means that his nose was, he didn't have a nose basically. It was sunk in nose. Says Taisus, it makes no sense to call a person, a gadol, by a derogatory name. Sunken nose, that's what you're going to call him. So he says, oh, Charim means the name of a place. Rabbi Yossi Acharim Oimer, Motzinu Yemin Shenikri Yad. I argue with this. Because you tell me Yad means the left, and that's why we put our tefillin on our left. Shenemar V'yar Yosef, the famous pasuk. Yosef noticed that Yaakov Avinu switched his hands. Ki Yoshis Aviv Yad Yaminoi. It says Yad means the right. So the Gemara says V'idach, but the Tanna Kama says Yad Yaminoi Yikri. Yeah, when the Torah says Yad together with the right, then it's the right hand. But Yad by itself, Yad Stamel Yikri. When it says Yad by itself, it means the left. Reb Nosson Oimer, and finally we have Reb Nosson. In Itzarech, you don't need all this. It says by mezuzah uchsaftom, maksive biyamin afkshira biyamin. Just like you write a mezuzah with your right hand, so too you have to tie your tefillin with your right hand, like we do. Most people, they take it, they tie it, they go like this. The right is doing the job, but your tefillin are left on your left hand. So let me ask you a question. What if a sofer is a righty? He's a righty. But he's not bad with his left hand, and he writes a mezuzah with his left hand. Kosher or pasul? Anybody want to jump in here? The answer is it's pasul. Uchsaftam, you have to write the mezuzah if you're a righty with your right hand. You do it with your right, so you put your tefillin on with your right onto your left. Maksiva biyamin, afkshira biyamin. If you're going to tie it with your right, then where you're placing it, you're placing it on your left arm. If he argues and he says the word yad can mean the right hand, not the left, so how does he know they have to put the tefillin on the left? He learns it from Reb Nosson. What does Reb Nosson say? You can see in the red. He learns from the hekesh. Just like a mezuzah, so too. I'm thinking that we should put a screen over here. Screen over here. Not bad for you. And I just saw the guest turning his head like this. We'll put the screen over there. We'll just screen it up a little bit. Rav Ashi Omar miyodcha. Rav Ashi says finally, the word yodcha, you could split it in half. Yod ka. Ksiv behei keya. Two pshatim in Rashi. Rashi's first pshat is that the hay makes it into a nekeva, which is weaker than a zachar. And then the famous pshat, that for me it's famous, so I'm connected to that when I see it in the Mishnah Berurah and the different times we learned it was the yad keya, the weaker of the two hands. Usually when you're a righty, your left hand is the weaker hand. Perhaps it's referring to the one that has the strength, because yodcha, the hay at the end, could be a ches. So you have chaf and a ches, which means koyach, which means strength. A lot of times the Gemara says that the hay and the ches are interchangeable. But that's when there's nothing else going on. Over here, we're telling you pshat, keha means weak. So why should I stick in something that's not there and say, oh, the hay means a ches and it means strong, the opposite of the pshat. This is the pashtus, so we'll go with the pashtus. Omelei miksiv b'ches. Says the Gemara Ketanoi. This is a machlokes tanoim, like the machlokes tanoim. Yotcha behei zu small. Since it says hey, it means the weaker one means the left hand. Acherim moirim yotcha l'rabbis esagidem. Acherim Remeir says that yotcha comes to include somebody doesn't have the hand part up to the elbow. So he only has the upper part. He has a bicep. So he should tie his tefillin on his bicep. Yadcha. Tanya Yidach. This is where it becomes tricky. And if you have a pencil, you should just write it in. Ein lo yizroya, over here, it's not talking about that he has from the elbow up. Over here, he doesn't have anything. So think about it. A person that doesn't have his left arm at all, it's cut off by shoulder. So what should he do? Should he put on tefillin or not put on tefillin? Should he put on tefillin on the right arm? On the one hand, it should be your weaker arm. It should be the left. If you have a right and a left, you should put on the left. You only have one, so what do? So you would say, you put it on the right. That's not what the Gemara says, according to this man Amar. If it's cut off all the way to the shoulder, you should put on tefillin. He says, no, the person doesn't have an arm at all. Fakert. You have to put the tefillin on the right arm. So it comes out like this. It comes out if a person was bar mitzvah and he put his tefillin on his left, and he had an accident where his left arm got chopped off. So now at age 20 he has to switch over to put his tefillin on the right. That was one of the answers to the question according to this man Amar. Iter meniach tefillin biyiminoi shu smoiloi. A lefty has to put on his tefillin on the opposite arm because to him the left is strong, the weaker one is the right, so he puts it on his right arm. So it usually goes by uchsavtom. It goes by the most. A lot of people that are lefties have the question: am I a real lefty? How do I bat? How do I throw a ball? How do I eat? And it boils down to how do you write. Just if you write with your left hand and you do everything else with your right, that's where it becomes a little bit of a problem. So I have that with my son. At least that's what he thinks in his head, that he's a righty. Just he writes with his left. So I went to Rabbi Goldstein. You guys might have to rethink this. Rabbi Goldstein himself, first of all, he's the big posek here in one of the big posek in Ramat Bet Shem. He's a huge Talmud Chacham, huge, and he's holding in all Kol HaTorah Kula, Shulchan Aruch, Shas, everything Bal Peh. So, but he has this issue. So I brought my son there, and he spoke to him back and forth, and basically what he told my son to do, I got to revisit it because that was his. Now that he's a little bit more mature, 2 years later, maybe he'll think about it differently. There's also this, I think, with him, it was more like, I want to fit in with everybody else and do what everybody else, I don't want to. So he told him he should wear his tefillin like everybody else, but by Aleinu, take it off and put it on the other arm for a minute, and that's what Rabbi Goldstein does. Everybody knows, by Aleinu, takes his tefillin, you have to put it backwards, because your thing. Over here it says, Mefurish, you should wear tefillin, a lefty should wear tefillin like a righty. There's no difference. A person who can control everything with both of his hands. Where do you put the tefillin? On your muscle, right over here, on the muscle. Zuki Bayris. Beininecha, Zukat Kard. You have to put it over here, between the eyes, on top of your head. Heicha. What's the makom shetinoik that the head is roifus? So it's where the soft spot. Now not everybody knows. I showed this once before. There's actually two soft spots in a baby. When people have sweaters or they have a sweatshirt or they have one of these tight shirts, so sometimes it doesn't go all the way up to your shoulder, and it kind of hangs out on the muscle, and that can be problematic if your tefillin are too low down. Below the muscle is a no-no. So it has to be on the muscle. Now, what you're supposed to do is, the muscle will see it a tiny bit towards the heart, a little bit. You don't put it straight up on the muscle, a little bit like this. The Mishnah Berurah. Top line, you can read with me. V'rabim nichshalim bi'issur zeh, and many people are over on this issur. V'toyim loymar sha'kotza ha'elyoy matchil mimokim ha'seyar. They don't realize where you're supposed to put your tefillin shorosh. V'ikar tefillin munach ala metzach. A lot of the tefillin is lower down. Now, if you have to look at your hairline, not where your hair finishes, but your hairline, where it grows out of. So if, in my case, my hair starts over here. So I have to put my tefillin over here. If my end of the tefillin are with my hair, not yoitza. Not yoitza. Now, Lubavitch has a problem because they have etzbosayim, they have very large tefillin. So I recommend, even with their large tefillin, they should go back to mokim shoroiv tinik roifes. Anything that the baby's head is soft, push it down. But even if it comes off your hairline, a centimeter, the Mishnah Berurah says you're not yaitza. Repeat this again and again. It's just a centimeter. You're not yaitza. I don't know what to tell you. This is what he says. V'oivrim al isur doiraisa, says the Chavetz Chaim. You're over on a doiraisa. The kolat tefillin tzrichin the entire thing 100%. Tzrichin liyos munachim b'makim sheyesh karcha, in a place where the root of the hair you could pull it out, it becomes bald. This little part, this part of the ma'avarta, shalatitoira munach. I'm sorry, not ma'avarta. Ma'avarta is the back. Titoira, thank you. Munach al makom atchol zikri haseir. It should be resting on the beginning of where the hair comes out. And we have long hair that come to half your forehead. It goes over and over and over. Nachman explains it. It doesn't go to where your hair finishes, it goes to where your hair starts. And to be super makbid, and every minyan you go to, you'll find two people in that minyan that don't know this halacha, and that's why you bring in a professional that tells you, hey, you're not wearing it right, let me readjust your knot, maybe your knot is too large so it falls to the front. Da-da-da. Okay, weiter. Asks Playmoy of Rebbe, Mi sheyesh li shnei roshim, person who has two heads, be'ezim mehen maniach tefillin, which one of those heads should he wear tefillin? Omarlei, he was so upset at him. Why do you ask me such silly questions? Oy kum gli galei, go and galus. Oy kabel alach shamto, or you accept upon yourself. Cherim. Says the Gemara, Rebbe made fun of him, and all of a sudden, I had a kid that was born with two heads. How much do I have to pay for pidyon abed? Nebuch, this is firstborn. It's male if it's your third child. Say that. Firstborn. Do I have to give double pidyon abed?
That was the shayla. Two brothers came to Shlomo Melech. They had machlokes. One brother had one head, the other brother had two heads, and he wanted a double chelik in the Yerusha. That was the thing. So Shlomo Melech said, pour hot water on one of the heads, and we'll see. So it's one person, the kid said, because it hurt both heads.
Well,
that was the story.
Also, Saba Tonalei. So the elder person came and told him a lot of times Saba is Eliyahu Navi. He taught him, you have to give 10. As the Gemara, I would think that if a Bechar gets killed before he's 30 days old, maybe you should pay the Pinyan Ben. You're right, they have to pay Pinyan Ben when he's 30 days. But maybe it's that's when you pay it up. But you have to pay for being born. So if he didn't survive, okay, so he's not a baby that you have to pay for. But this is a baby that should have survived. He just was killed. So maybe you have to pay the Pinyan Ben. So the Gemara is actually asking, so too, somebody with two heads is not going to be able to survive. Maybe, because either in Ishtanu Atvaim today, because you see that these twins are like 30-something years old, they survived. Or maybe the Pshat, as I saw, they bring Rashi. He says there's a musa called Kol Hayetik Kanatul Dami. Anything more is as if it doesn't exist. So if it doesn't exist, so now you have two heads, it's one extra, it's as if it doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist, then it's a treifa. The head makes it halachically a treifa. Not that it's physically not going to survive, but it is a treifa, whatever that means. Says Gemara, Shani Hacha, the Bigul Goylas Toler Achmana. When it comes to Pidyon Ben, the Torah says, for each head, you have to give 5 shekel. Now, it's very possible that the baby was born its body first, and Memela, when most of the body comes out, there's a chiyuv of Pidyon, and it goes by each head, and it has 2 heads, so you have to pay double. Omar Mar, Yotcha Zoikibars, we just learned that Flamzainum Beis on top. The hand means the muscle, the bicep. Minolan, where do you get this from? The Torah Rabbana Yotcha is a govish biyad. It's on top, on the high part of your arm. At the Omer is a govish biyad. Yotcha mamish. If you and I were to learn the pasuk by ourselves, we didn't know anything about tefillin. We just fell off the moon. We would say Yotcha means on your hand. That's in Hebrew. Yad. Give me your hand. Give me your yad. This is your hand. Maybe put your tefillin right over here. Where do you get the muscle? Omer Torah anach tefillin b'yad v'anach tefillin b'roish. put it on your hand and on your head. When you put it on your head, you put it on the top of your head, the high part of your head. So too, when it comes to the tefillin sheyad, you put it on the high part of your head. No, you don't need to come onto that. You don't want to put your tefillin on a place where other people could see it. It's for you. It's a private testament. I love that word. Testament. Oh, so it would come out, like Shamshi brought the pasuk before, it would come out, it's a pasuk that you have to hide your tefillin. So let's see. It says, you should put these words of Torah on your heart. So that's why we come up with this thing that you put it on your... Now, if you put it over here, it's not next to your heart. What's next to your heart? On the bicep. Okay. They actually would turn it slightly, a little bit, not a lot, not straight up like this, a little bit. Usually when you tie it, if you're a righty and you tie it Ashkenaz or Litvish, I don't know, it gives it a little bit of a yank towards your heart. But you do the opposite. Some people pull the other way. So those people that pull the other way, they should probably try to tilt it a little bit more. Ravashi, who I'll remind the Olam, he was the last one that had Torah Gedula b'Makim Echad. He was the wealthiest of the generation, but also the biggest Talmud Chacham. He wrote the Gemara. He authored Shas. Havet Tzira b'Yodei. His sleeve was ripped. Why? Says Rashi, because he had a wound. It wasn't because he was poor. He had a wound. Now you know that if you have a boo-boo on your bicep and you put your tefillin on and then you put your sleeve over it, oy vavay, you know, if it ever happened. I remember like certain times, like you got injured and bad, whatever it was, it doesn't feel good, that pressure. So he wanted to relieve the pressure, so he tore his shirt. Becomes chazin tefillin. And here comes the question that I asked in the beginning of this year. Is it a chiyuv to cover? Or is it a nice thing to do? Or it's shtusim, you don't have to do it at all. Isn't it a mefurish pasuk that nobody should see it? It's for you to have a testament with the Rebbeinu Shalom, not for others. The Torah is saying put it in a place like kalaroy lebila, sort of. Well, not really, but maybe. It should be in a place where you could cover it, not that you have to cover it. Nevertheless, there is an inyan to cover it. If somebody's you're on vacation, you're in a t-shirt and whatever, and that's nishkeferlich, not the end of the world, it's better to cover it. That's what they pass. It's better to cover it.
Why do you cover shoulders?
No, that's fakert. You want to show that you have the vero amiaretz. What the vero fakert? That's something that you show. You megala. Goyvish b'roish manola. How do you know that you put the tefillin on the high part of the head? Maybe you should place the tefillin right over here. I was in a minyan and I saw a guy literally like this. Not like this, like this. So that guy I didn't want to say a word to because I figured this is a shita. This is already a shita. This is not like, a mistake. It was placed there b'dafka. And that's how the Karaim, that's how the Kusim, and if they would wear tefillin today, that's exactly how they would wear it, like this guy. There's a Shomrani, but it's what do you call it?
They were like
Karaim.
They were like the tzedukah. Yeah.
This is only a yai. If somebody is in a lot of pain, he shouldn't rip his hair out of his head. Where do you rip your hair out of your head? Right, this area right over here. Karcha, where you become bald. This issue of ripping your hair out is on top of your head. So too, excuse me, when it comes to the tefillin shorosh, you should put it in that area. Here's a question, Rabbi Isai. Are your eyebrows considered part of your skin, or they're part of your hairy head? Nafkamina for tzaras. If you have a tzaras on where your hair grows, it's one halacha, as I'm going to show you in a second. If it's on your plain skin, it's another halacha. what are your eyebrows? What do you think? So this is a question that they asked the Shas Yidin, and the Shas Yidin all knew the answer from this Gemara right over here. It says like this. So over let me show you real quickly. If a person has tzaras, he has a blemish. So over here, the blemish is on a skin. So you need to have, in order for it to be real tzaras, it has to have 2 hairs. But if the blemish grows on the head, where your hair is, over there it needs to be 2 yellow hairs. So the Gemara says, you could, if you put it on your hand, it's 2 hairs, 2 white hairs. So 2, when you put it on your head, it should be in a place where all you need is 2 yellow hairs. So that's on the top of your head. But let's say you want to put it over here. So now you have both yellow and white. Yellow is because you put it next to your eyebrows. Over there by your eyebrow, it has to be yellow. And on the skin part, it's white. So that's different. You said you only need 2 hairs. Now all of a sudden you need 4 hairs. So you can't. That's how I know I don't put tefillin over there. It has to be similar to your tefillin shel yad, which is only 2 hairs. And you have the white hairs. Next, maybe we can't go next. So I guess we'll just stop over here. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.